Okay. Um, my guest today is X. X is a very good friend here in the community, and we run into each other a lot. And I like what X has uh, to offer the world, and I wanted to make sure that surely rest of the world, um, the rest of the world can hear what X has to say and teach. As I mentioned in the invitation, X uh, is all about self growth and self everything really, as he's gonna talk about it in a minute. And I'm glad that you were with us. And X, welcome in my community.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Um, we've been here a little bit and communicating some very uh, needed conversation about the condition of humanity as as we as we can see it, as we're part of that humanity. So, uh, and I remember you called me, you asked me, what would be an appropriate
You good?
title to be to to uh, to put down on paper and as a heading for what we're going to talk about, and we came together and thought that preparing the grounds for growth would be, you know, would be appropriate.
Appropriate, yeah, appropriate, because I talked to you about who will be watching us talking about way to grow yourself or to prepare yourself to receive the growth that you're seeking. And you agree, you formulate that phrase for us: prepare the ground for growth. And this is what we are inviting you to participate with us today. If you're here with us right now, we are live, and if you're we will be watching it over YouTube. um this video is gonna be all you need to hear. Not all, but it's a continuous conversation about how to maintain self growth and self happiness. So let's get right into it. So if I was in high school with you, who were you in high school? In high school?
Uh, I was an athlete, you know,
Not
a student athlete. I basically played all the sports, football, basketball, ran track. So I was into health,
health, yeah.
I was always into reading. I love reading biographies, especially about great athletes, you know, Jesse Owens and just different athletes, because I found that the the fact that they worked so hard to get where they wanted to achieve their dreams and were able to fulfill those dreams was like pretty interesting. But it wasn't just athletes. I've always been a person who loved studying human nature via the biography of other human beings and how they live their lives.
Nice.
Whether it was Gandhi or Buddha or Dr. King or Malcolm X or any of those people. It didn't matter what they did, whether their contribution was considered horrible to humanity or good. You know what I mean? The fact that learning who this person was and how they evolved into being who they were and ultimately did what they did was very important to me to understand myself and other people. You know what I mean? So that's how I basically uh, basically developed myself, is by studying other human beings.
Nice, nice. So you mentioned Gandhi and who else?
I mean, all the greats, Dr. King,
What about sports? Who was your favorite sport role model?
At the moment is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah, yeah. Let's shout out to him. Let's see. So and then you grow into uh someone that is inspiring and empowering. people to learn about self, and most importantly, take care of yourself now.
Yes.
And so, and that's why we have you on. What a annoying thing. There you go again. So to talk about self, and tell us, if I get up in the morning, and I am planning on, go about my day, but first I have to, focus about myself in order to be able to offer whatever I need to offer to the rest of the world. Tell me, how do I, bring in that feeling of self worth, and
Well, it's
be motivated to do what I do.
because everything is connected, right? So when you use the word self, for me, it means something that that's all inclusive. In other words, whatever I'm doing for myself, I'm doing it for all of humanity.
Okay.
So, like, I'm looking at you, and you're looking at me, right? So I can't see my own face. I can only see you. So you're literally my other self. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I'm getting to know myself better through you. And so then whenever I look, whatever for me, philosophically, spiritually, whenever I look out into the world, I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at more of myself. So this way, I overcome all the obstacles of separation that separate me from others. When I see other, I see myself, and I ask myself the question: Why why am I behaving that? So I need, and the question has to follow action. So if I say, why am I acting this way? Why is myself, not the rest of myself, the other part of myself, behaving this way? I need to go engage that
Right. Yeah.
part of myself and find out why, so that we can develop some type of relationship, or at least some type of understanding of why am I behaving this way? Where did I learn these behaviors? And so then that makes me a better person, makes self a better person, because I get to know myself better through that interaction with the other human being. But it also makes them better at the same time, which makes it, it's almost like a ripple effect for the rest of self,
Right.
to
Yeah.
continue to grow and expand and become more conscious of itself, as opposed to being separate from self and feeling alienated, or like you're not part of this existence, or like you're lesser than part of this existence, like a meaningless part of the existence. That's, which is totally not true. Every part of self is integral and important and vital to this existence. It's when we disengage and we separate ourselves and we feel isolated, or we isolate ourselves from other, that the ripple effect of division and fragmentation just unfolds and gets worse and worse and worse. And we're seeing it now.
What if others isolate me? Meaning, let's say I'm a salesman, and I wanna sell you my product, and then you keep shutting the door on me. Well, I'm trying to engage with you and offer you what I have, but you keep rejecting me.
Well, that's where that live by example. In other words, if the person is shutting me out, right, then I must always remain open for them. I should always keep the door open for them to come and engage me. I've tried to engage them and they shut the door. I can't force myself into their consciousness. I can't force myself into them accepting me. But I can always keep the door open for them to change and come to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's well said.
Or just because if I say, well, I'm going to be like them, and I'm here, I am complaining about that they shut me out. So then I sort of say, well, okay, fine, we two can play that game. When he comes to me, I'm gonna shut him off.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a stalemate. You're negating each other now. There's no benefit. But if I say I will not be like him, because that's really not him. Problem with the other is he doesn't know himself yet. Because in order for you to get to know me, you must know yourself first, right?
Yeah, because
first
you
rule.
can then you can reflect it to others. Is that what you is
Yes,
that okay?
yes.
That's really good. That's really good. And
What
so
is the oldest question? The oldest question is, know thyself.
know thyself. And is knowing yourself is selfish? Is that a selfish thing to do?
I
Knowing
mean,
yourself and grow
no,
yourself?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's a benefit to the world. It's a benefit to the rest of self.
Right.
It becomes detrimental when you don't know yourself, because then other people can play with your mind. People who have, you know, ulterior motives, things that are not beneficial to your existence or my existence, can use you to turn us against each other because you don't know yourself. And you are not willing to take the responsibility to know yourself. You're looking for somebody else to tell you who you are, as opposed to digging deep into your own existence and getting to know who you are via your relationship with other people. Because to know is because to be is to be related. To be is to be related.
To be related. I need to tweet that. To be is to be related. And so we are looking for that feeling of related to others, uh, and we want to be friends with others. But if the door keeps shutting on us, still keep the door open for that person while you keep working on yourself, to be able to reflect it to the person that you're seeking to be friends with. And so um, it's hard. That's a lot, right?
Well, think about this. In the 1950s and 60s, when they had the racial issue was at its civil rights movement was going on in America, most of the people who did not, so to speak, like the black man, most of the whites who didn't like a black man, never met a black man. They only knew the black man based on what the politicians and maybe a lot of the religious leaders were saying about the black man, but they never met one. They never engaged one because they were never allowed to stay away from them. So that's the point. They were not open. They were not open to engaging, and so then that perpetuated the continuation of that ignorance, of not knowing themselves or other. So it's counterproductive. If that continues, if that division continues, if there's no engagement, you know what I mean, then we're all basically lighting a match, and we're all going to be caught in the same fire.
Because the wall is one bubble.
Yeah.
And so you talk about taking care of yourself is I remember you saying if it's a selfish approach or not. Did you is it a selfish approach
No,
or not? Is you know what you're saying?
it's not a selfish. It's actually the best approach.
It's the best approach.
Yeah, because being a human being means contributing to the rest of yourself. And the more you know yourself, the better you know yourself, the better of a contribution you can make to the world. If you're ignorant of self, if you lack self-knowledge, anybody can tell you anything and you're going to believe it because you don't know yourself. And I can get you to hate somebody today and love them tomorrow, because you become a vehicle, right? In my
someone can manipulate you.
You become a passenger in my consciousness.
Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Cruising around and I'm saying whatever I'm saying and you're just believing because you don't know yourself.
Now, part of who people who are listening to us now or later, they are business people who who do do marketing and sales and leadership and recruitment and all that stuff. So talking about self is good for them because they want to influence others. They want to sell. That's who we are. We're salesmen, and
salesman is an ambassador.
It's an ambassador. Yeah, we're ambassadors. And how do we keep ourselves all pumped up so we can reflect that to others? So let's break it down. if you talk about self, um, reflecting it through all this, does that mean eat well
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
you know manage your money better and be a better role model, or how do you see it in terms
Total,
of breaking it down?
total responsibility. I mean, uh, if you're planting a garden, right? You have to know the quality of the seeds. You have to know the quality of the soil. You have to know how much sun a certain area is going to receive, and how much sun the certain seed needs that you're planting, the plant that you're, the vegetable that you're planting, how much sun it needs. If it only needs half day of sun and and it's going to get full day of sun, it's not going to grow very well. So that's it. You have to prepare yourself. You have to have an understanding of yourself in order to grow. Because if you don't have an understanding of yourself, how can you grow? You know, intellectually, intelligently, spiritually, emotionally, rationally, relationship. You can't, because you haven't planted, you haven't prepared the ground so that you can plant the right seeds, or be open enough to receive the seeds and understand what they are. So you have to be able to, just do all the work that you need to do. You have to be completely responsible for every aspect of your existence, you know, and not compartmentalize them. Don't separate them. They're one movement. In other words, your senses are not separate. It's not like right now you're only your ears are working. No, all your senses should be in harmony. And so then when you're developing something yourself, everything should be in harmony. You shouldn't neglect anything. And you shouldn't separate and say, I need to work more on this than I do on this. No, you should have a balanced approach to your growth.
Yeah, yeah, like that diversify your tasks and know your responsibilities and take it in all angles and all perspectives. Is that
Yes.
fair?
I mean, I just saw this little clip the other day about Elon Musk. He uses the example of a tree.
Of a tree, okay.
You know,
Tell us about it.
branching. Planting. You have to know the ground. You have to know the roots. You have to know what the trunk. So you're building that tree. That tree is a symbol of knowledge,
Yeah.
self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And whatever it is whatever is the product that you're selling, whether it's rocket ships or donuts, you have to know the whole tree.
The whole tree, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's a full development of growth.
That makes
It
sense.
can't be, I only know the roots.
Right.
You have to know the fundamentals, but you have to know the basics of everything.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I helps to make your speech as a salesman. You make your speech based on everything that's you representing, or everything that you're selling. You have to know what you're selling and what's in it and what's out of it and what can help someone. And so
And meeting the need of the area that you're in. Certain areas have certain needs that certain areas and other places don't need.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I like that because when we talk about self, I love self. That's why I'm seeking more knowledge into that area, and I tell myself all the time, I love myself. I love myself. I do, and there's no doubt about it. And because I love myself, I can reflect love to others, and that's what that's what you preaching. But can I see myself in the future? Like, do you think I should only to continue to see myself um, throughout the future and then accumulate?
Or you can have what they call lucid dreams. You know what I mean? Lucid dreams means like seeing yourself. You're sleeping, but you're awake enough to see yourself in this dream, and you're literally building your business in this dream and seeing yourself functioning. Like for me, my visualizing myself speaking in front of audiences. That's me. This is my dream. So I can see myself doing that. So see
So
yourself.
you're saying that's what you're imagining right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I say that to everyone, whatever your dream is, see yourself doing. But don't forget that the only way that happens is by taking care of the present.
Yeah. So you take action.
Yeah, because the present is the future. In other words, if you take care of the present, the future will take care of itself. But if you don't take care of the present and you're only thinking about the future, how the heck are you going to get there? It's like you're trying to go somewhere without a vehicle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's vital that you take care of the present in order to secure the future.
Okay. So do you have any documents that you write or anything anything you produce as a piece of literature to help spread the word in another way?
It's interesting you should ask me that because I've been thinking about putting something together, but like a small pamphlet information.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To kind of
Mhm.
to get the word out, so to speak, and then so that people can re-engage me. Because for me the best way to learn is to have an interactive participation. You know what I mean? Not For me, the classroom should be interactive.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't be the guy talking and a bunch of people listening. You know what I mean? The classroom should be smaller. You know what I mean? Not bigger. And the engagement should be interactive. It shouldn't be the teacher talks for an hour and you just listen and that's it. Because then there's no interaction. There's no learning.
I totally agree with interactive relationship because as a person, as a businessman, you interact with people all the time, and so um, it's better to converse like that than being on Zoom. I know salespeople been having a hard time, making uh, doing what they do, but um, luckily we are not down too much. And speaking of which, this is the first time you are on camera in a long time,
Over 25 years.
over 25 years. So how do you feel being in front of camera?
I mean, I actually feel like I'm in front of you.
Okay.
So I'm not even really thinking about the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's there.
Yeah.
But since we're doing this here like this, I feel comfortable.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. So yeah, tell us about like if I want something, I have a big dream and I have a big I'm interested in something that it scares me just to think about it. How do you prepare myself to receive that?
Well, uh, you're talking about you want to develop something to like as a business, or
No, I just have a dream, regardless what kind of dream it is. With the title of our conversation right now is prepare the soil for growth, right? Prepare the ground for growth. And so I'm the ground, and I'm gonna coconut tree. What do I do
that's where research comes
to prepare the ground for growth?
You have to do you have to do your diligence and develop and get the knowledge that you need for the seed, the ground, all that thing that's the most important part of the whole process. That takes action, right? You know, if you spend too much time thinking about it, you never get it done, right? So action is the road to success. But action, what type of action is what you're asking, you know? So it's specifically it's specific driven is specific driven based on what your dream is. Mhm. So the process is the same but unique at the same time. Like if you want to be if your dream was to be a ball player, right? For example, the process is the same but unique, which is self-development.
Self-development. Yeah.
You have to start with the basics. And no matter what business you're thinking about developing, you have to start with the basics.
Start with the basics, and that's like first of all knowing about what you're getting into, and then um, start with the basics into developing it. And I can tell you in a business sense, you would start learning about the product and make up your mind on how you're gonna present it to potential customers and stuff like that. But since you're talking about starts with the basics on a regular day, when you get up, how do you prepare yourself for a day?
For me, it's when I get up, the first thing I do is I go outside into the sun. You know what I mean? And I do my exercise. I exercise first thing in the morning in the sun between uh, some trees outdoors, and I do some stretches. I do some breathing exercises. I get my mind and everything in tune with what the day is going to offer. Uh, Basically, it's literally, you know, when I hear you say, let me go back to what you said earlier, that you love yourself. That is a very profound thing to say. The reason why I'm saying that's because I don't know if you really understand the deepest meaning of that. When you say self, for me personally, self is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you love yourself, it's all encompassing,
Mm-hmm.
all of existence. It's every human being on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so then when you develop yourself, when you're doing get up in the morning, you do your exercises, whatever it is, or you're planning your day of action.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're doing it for all of it, for all of self, not
Mm-hmm.
just for yourself
Mm-hmm.
as an individual, but for the rest of humanity as a whole. So whatever we're doing, it's a very spiritual exercise. And I think that what we were talking about earlier, that if it's not healthy and beneficial to humanity, don't develop it. I mean, that should be like the first rule of thumb, so to speak. If you're going to develop any kind of business, it should be beneficial. It's like saying, I'm going to develop a certain product, but I will not consume it myself because I don't think it's healthy for human consumption. But yet you're gonna make it for other people to consume it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to consume your product, then you shouldn't sell it.
Right. That's why all that I was gonna go there, because for me, I don't get involved at all in something that I don't believe in, and so I we I talking about self. If you're gonna present a product to someone, you need to know how it feels. If it's a beauty product, you need to know how it feels on your skin or your hair, or if it's a wellness product, you need to taste it and take it, make sure it works and stuff like that. And I don't even need to go to vaccine, but um, but yeah, I like that you said if it's not healthy for human consumption, don't don't.
Oui.
Don't even begin to develop. Don't even allow,
Hein?
because there's so many human needs that the world is.
C'est pas bon, mais
There's endless amount of things you could do that you could produce that is beneficial to the human person, that you don't have to develop anything that's nefarious and harmful. There's so many beneficial things you could do. So there's no excuse for developing a product that's anti-health or anti-beneficial for the human being, whether it's for a child or for an adult. You know what I mean? And the idea that, oh, this is okay because it's for an adult. The adult can make his own decisions is absurd. You know what I mean? For me, if you say you love yourself, then what does that really mean? That means that you want the best for yourself.
Right.
The best for yourself is the best food, the best air, the best water, the best of everything. And that's what you want for everybody else. So, you know, and you can't expect the one of the things that the world is, that I see, that the conflict in the world today is that because I'm transforming and I'm improving my consciousness, and I'm becoming more ethical, and I'm developing better products for healthy consumption of other beings. That doesn't mean that the way for me to have others become better and become more conscious is by ridiculing them,
Mhm.
by insulting their products.
Mhm.
That's not going to help them.
Okay.
That's going to make you're going to develop enemies, and they're going to turn on you and start putting you down. So your product is crap. It's organic. It's that. Yeah. So now you develop a conflict instead of developing a relationship. You're developing a conflict with the people who are not as advanced in what you say.
Yeah,
awakening.
but samedi do la ou pas entendre réunion.
You know what I mean?
Ou pas entendre?
Yeah. S'il vous plaît, mute tout, s'il vous plaît, mute tout. So yeah, so we are.
You're seeing it right now. We're seeing it right now. I mean, you have electric cars, and then you have the basic combustion engine that people say is polluting the air. Fine, total agreement. But you can't develop a war. The electric car should not develop a war against fossil fuel. It should develop a relationship as opposed to a war. It shouldn't be a war against anything. It should be, let's develop a relationship so we can work together to improve these areas. Because you can't snap your fingers and end fossil fuel.
So if you're saying if I have a product, I want to show it it's better than my competitor. What do I do? Do I just talk about my product, not
Yes.
talking about the
Yes.
competitor? Or?
Yes. Put all of your energy in bringing the best to the market, okay, and to the people that are going to produce it, because that's going to take care of itself. Your product is going to outrun this old depleted nonsense, okay, stuff that's not beneficial to humanity. Will die out. But if you ridicule it, you raise it up, and people are going to defend it, and they're gonna build a wall around it and say, no, you're not gonna destroy Coca-Cola, so to speak. No, let Coca-Cola be Coca-Cola. Put all your energy in the best.
Hi. Good to see you.
You know what I mean?
This is very good. We are outside in the nature. We are having a conversation about ways to grow yourself and focus on what you do in yourself to produce greater results, and doing it happily, and we are outside. It's an area where people come and they chill, have an outside time,
By the
and
river.
by the river. We all need it around here. After those 2 years of whatever they call it, confinement, and we all needed to come out and have a conversation, regardless if it doesn't include a lot of business, because I know a lot of my business friends are here. They want to know how can I make money? How can I make money? But in the making of the money that you want, you need to become someone else than what you already are, which is keeping you from accumulating what you need in the first place. And so you need to prepare the ground for growth.
Redirect your energy.
And redirect your energy. And so tell us, what do? You're in martial arts. You're a martial art teacher, and tell us how is that going?
I mean, it's since as you just said, COVID put a damper on it because you couldn't, you can't engage with people, and I'm old school. I don't do the Skype workout. You know what I mean? I do the one-on-one, face-to-face. Let's do this workout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that has been, and since I was new in the area, I didn't have any clients yet, anyways.
Right.
So I had to redirect my energy and depend more on my significant other to bring the bread in, so to speak.
Okay.
Good, which worked out fine because she works from home. So
you still are able to stay healthy and and happy. And so that's
growing the garden and all that stuff, planting a garden, that's part of it.
And you can do that. You can do that for yourself, which is which is great. And I have so many questions to ask you, and a lot of them we've talked about them already. And when the mic wasn't on, I work um I work for a company who does a lot of natural products, and people love those products, and people put a lot of testimony online about the product, and they do it on a in a natural way. They take care of what they do, and they really care about the nature so much they call themselves modern nature. Have you ever heard those two words combined together, modern and nature?
It's almost like oxymoron because nature is not modern. You
Okay,
know what I mean? Nature is the original. It's just the original, the original way. You know, what I mean, the original way is the best way. Think about it.
the nature,
Think about
the
this.
natural way.
A scientist, science in the chemical industry, in the chemical factory of making stuff, food processing, is literally, you know, not even 100 years old. So here's 100 years of chemical production in a factory, making things that are anti-nature, so to speak, products that have nothing to do with health or only have to do with profit, right? And then I have hundreds of thousands of years of evidence because we're here, alive, human beings that we still exist. No medicine from modern medicine for thousands of years. How the heck did we get here? My goodness. You know what I mean? How did we grow? How did we develop through all these thousands of years? How did we pass through all these different things that went, you know, all these attacks, all these conflicts? How did we get it? Because of nature, not because of modern medicine or modern whatever. Now, I'm not saying I'm anti-technology. I love air conditioning when it's hot. You know what I mean? I love being able to get in the car and travel, going across country without horse and buggy. You know, but the reality
Yeah,
of it, the reality of it is that I don't have to prove that nature works because I'm evidence of it.
I got you. That's where you're coming. That's good. Yeah, nature works because it's natural. Yeah,
It's
it's
what we are.
yeah. But I guess it's because they are using technology to bring it to customers, and that's how the modern and it take place. Uh, Now
The
you
delivery,
for
the delivery of goods is great. It's not. It's the production of things that are not healthy. You know what I mean? That are basically for profit only. They're not for the benefit of human health. They're for
right.
the benefit of profit.
If yeah, if
So
that's the
it's not
case,
it's not ethical.
yeah,
Yeah.
if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, um because a lot of companies are out there doing things that's not unethical, and and hallelujah
Yes.
for the ones that
Yes.
do, which is rare. And you preach to stay natural and to stay healthy, uh and when we're not healthy, we're not reflecting it to others, and that's part of self growth. Do you read any books about self growth that you can share with us?
Uh, 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 I would say the one that I the book that probably inspired me most was the one written by Gandhi on health.
Gandhi on health. Okay.
It's literally on health. It's on
Okay.
health
By Gandhi.
by Gandhi.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that book in particular is because he just went through the basics: sun, water, air, food. He didn't go like into like all kinds of, like you see a lot of these books that are like very like technical and like this vitamin and this ingredient and this other thing. He went to the basics of nature. You need sun, you need air, you need water, you need natural foods. Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a proven recipe that works. We're here we are.
Natural foods and medicines as well. Natural food and
Yeah,
natural medicine.
the thing is that medicine is food. Food is medicine.
Food is medicine.
There's no
Okay.
separate, there's no like separate thing. An herb, for example, is a medicine and it's also a food.
Okay.
All food that comes from nature is medicine in and of itself.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So we should be able to get what we need in food. Um, okay. What kind of food are we talking about? Are we talking about drive-throughs or what?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, unless the drive-through is giving you something that's beneficial, that's like closest to nature as possible, it's giving you like organic, let's say a salad, and all the with strawberries and berries and all the things that nature nuts and the things that we need
Okay.
in the closest purest form. They're great, and it's the same thing as like people make you've seen this, the restaurants that have the natural uh, burgers, made out of beans and different things, lentils and uh, that are pretty close to nature as possible. Those are also beneficial. You know what I mean? So I would say that the closest, the least processed foods are the best. You know what I mean? The more you process something, the more you denature it. And because you and I are part of this nature, you know what I mean? If you, for example, if you add another ingredient to this air that we're breathing, you and I start coughing. Why? Because it's an ingredient. The air doesn't need to be processed anymore. It is in its perfect form for you and I to inhale and breathe and be healthy. But if we add something to it, thinking that we're going to improve it, that's not true. So you really can't improve it. You can't improve on it. You can only package it, okay, and make it to where it, let's say, you could preserve it better, like if you dehydrate a fruit, you know what I mean, which is not really processing it like other stuff. So that's fine. But I would say that the best way to consume any food is to consume it in its most natural state.
Most natural state, unless you want to package it,
Yeah.
And make it into a certain texture that can help you preserve it.
Yeah,
and,
like juices, stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. Because again,
And this
innovations.
is for everybody, but it's not. What I mean by that is there's people who are going to be for this, and there's people who are going to be against it. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
There's people that are going to be for eating this way, and there's
Uh-huh.
people that are going to be against eating this way.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, do not worry about the people that are against it.
Right.
Do not ridicule them because they don't want to eat. They don't want to stop eating the stuff that they're eating.
Okay.
Just
Or
keep
they don't want to use that particular product.
doing that, because what you're doing is, in the process of ridiculing them or putting them down, you're wasting energy producing the product that you should be producing.
Right.
Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't waste your energy beating them up. They're already beating themselves up eating the wrong foods. That's enough damage. I don't have to damage them anymore with my words. Let them go. You keep going on your journey and making the best products that you can produce for your people and for people that are interested in eating a better way, living a better way. So everybody's invited though. You know what I mean? But not everybody's going to come to the party.
So yeah, and then to be able to sell it to others, you eat it yourself.
Yes, absolutely,
You eat it
absolutely.
yourself, because we talk about self here. Yeah, it's it's hard if you are if you're someone who's really focusing on about yourself. People call you, like you said earlier, selfish, and people start, you know, avoiding you, kind of thing. If you talk about yourself in this society that we live in, if you talk about yourself too much, or if you do stuff for yourself too much, if you pretend that you're too preservant of yourself and protecting, you get ridiculed. Like,
Because they don't understand. They don't understand the scope and the true meaning of the word self.
yeah,
All love is self-love.
All love is self love.
All love
I
is
like
self-love.
that. I'm gonna tweet that too.
All respect is self-respect.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the idea that if I decide not to develop myself, I'm gonna contribute more to humanity, it's absurd. I got to develop myself in order to contribute to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I want to become a millionaire, if I want to be accumulating a lot of money, it's because as long as I, I have a good self understanding, meaning me being doing that for myself, it's because self is the rest of everything else, and I'm doing that for what it is. So is that what you're saying?
Basically, you're literally, if you're developing yourself, you're contributing to humanity as a
That's
whole.
right. That's right.
That's just it. That's just the fact. If you're not, then you're doing yourself and the rest of humanity a disservice. If you're waiting for somebody to do it for you, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing self a disservice as a whole. If you're taking care of yourself, if you're being completely responsible for your own holistic self, then you're taking care of the whole at the same time, because you're going to contribute. If you made 50 products, right, 50 things, let's say 50 juices, and 50 people drank that organic juice, you just gave 50 people part of your love, the love of that you have for yourself, to the juice that you made.
Mhm.
And those 50 people in turn are going to tell 50 more people, I drank this juice, it was really good, and it was really healthy, and I felt great. So it's a ripple effect. The self-development process is a ripple effect. When you develop yourself, you develop me, because you're contributing to me in my relationship with you. If you do a poor job of developing yourself, then you're doing a poor job for me too, because then you have no contribution for me, and so our reflection is going to be very poor. So the clearer you are about yourself, the greater clarity I'm going to have for myself, because you're my mirror. If your mirror is foggy, I'm going, I can't see myself, Blada. You know what I mean? And you're going, yeah, this guy is kind of, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Or if two people that come together and don't know themselves, let's say two people who are underdeveloped selves that come together, and they got a bunch of nonsense going on in them. What do you think is going to, what do you think they're going to produce? They're going to produce more nonsense. It's going to be double the nonsense. Instead of one nonsense, it's going to be two nonsense. And that's dangerous to the rest of us. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I was just thinking of what if you know, sometimes there are people that believe in God, let's say, and they kind of they just accept themselves the way they are, and they hope someday God will do something for them, or if not, they go into to heaven. What would you say to something like this? That's not taking action. That just won't get up.
well, let's look at like one religion. Let's look at Christianity. What did Christ say? He said, "Greater things will you do." How in the world can you do greater things if you're not developing yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know what to say.
So yeah, look, we have one of the things that I like to talk about is our superpowers. One of our superpowers is silence.
Okay.
It's one of our superpowers.
And
Because
silence doesn't make us money.
check this out. Silence is how we learn. Because in order to listen, you have to be silent.
Mm.
And if you want to hear if you want to get the smallest detail, right? Now, for example, if I want to look at that tree, I can look at it like this, right? Or I can look at it like this. How clear is the tree when I'm doing this? Not very clear, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at it like this and I'm still, be still, so that I can see clearly, then I can learn what I want to learn about that tree. So stillness is another superpower.
Wow. Okay. Being able to stay
Silence is another superpower, because silence is the way to listen. If you're trying to listen to something, like we were talking here, and they were yelling, nice people. They weren't being mean. They were just having a good time.
Yeah.
But it was almost hard for us to hear
Yeah.
because the silence that we needed to hear each other was kind of like a little bit disturbed.
Yeah.
So in order for us to listen, now we can hear each other better because that background sound is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's greater silence.
Mhm.
So in that silence,
We
there's
learn
greater
learning
listening.
capacity.
Yeah.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. And so we should be seeking more silence, and
Yes.
in order to hear better.
Yes, we should be seeking more listening because listening, again, through silence. So you're correct.
Mhm.
In order to listen, you have to be silent. Because if when you're speaking to me, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, I'm not listening. I'm only getting part of what you're saying.
Mhm.
Then I have to ask you again, what was that you said?
Mhm.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Right.
Why didn't I hear it? Because you spoke clearly.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it because I was thinking about something else. I
Yeah.
was thinking about how I was going to reply to you. So in what I say, all respect and self-respect, in order for me to respect you, I have to be silent when you speak. Because I want to get all of what Vlada
Mm.
is conveying to me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because there's more to just words than just words. There's the meaning, there's the spirit, you know what I mean? There's all these different things going on that we don't really take into account.
What about attention? Like if I have a sales pitch, right? I come to you, I say, hey, I like your hair, man. I just wanna sell you this beautiful product that I have that I know that's gonna change your life. I know you have only 30 seconds of attention focus uh capability. Your full focus is within the first 30 seconds, which I'm already exceeding right now. But um I want to go fast. Even if you have to say something, I want to keep utilizing the full potential of my 30 seconds.
Right, right.
And so, and then I ask you, what did you say while I was talking?
Well, see, that's why you organize. That's why probably I mean, if you're selling a product, say you have a storefront already. You know what I mean? You're selling a product to an individual. They're coming into your store, then you're going to capture their attention because they're already coming in because they want the product, right?
Mhm.
The other way of getting people's attention is to create the venue that you want. In other words, create a venue of I'm gonna be selling this product at 2 o'clock. Come here, and I'm gonna tell you all about this product. That's probably the most profound way to get what you want to sell across to people because then you got their full attention. There's nothing else in their head going on. If you try to stop a person for 30 seconds, what you're saying, and they're busy going, I got to go pick up my daughter, and I got this, and I got the other thing. You're trying to break through that flow that they already have to where they're going, and it just makes it that much more difficult.
Mhm.
So they may say, you know what, just give me one, and here's $5. You know what I mean? You made $5, but you didn't get a repeat customer.
Right.
You just get a person who said, I'm annoyed, I'm busy, I gotta get going.
Yeah.
Here's $5, here's $10, whatever it is, and I'm on my way.
Mhm.
That's not what you want. You don't want $5. You want a relationship because you're not selling your product. People think you're selling your product. You're selling yourself.
You're selling yourself, yeah.
The most important person you have to sell is yourself. If you can't sell yourself, you got a problem. Because if people don't like you, they don't care about your product. So again, we go back to self-development, how you dress, you know, how you groom yourself, how you approach people, how you engage people. You know what I mean? How you, if you kind of like make a joke, make them laugh, make them feel comfortable, make them feel relaxed, make them feel unthreatened. You know what I mean? Like you're not trying to con them. You know, all these different things. So uh, it's one of those things, you know, that some people really somehow have developed it, and some are just it takes them a long time to get there.
Time to get there, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think part of it is wrong attention. In other words,
yeah,
wrong attention.
You have the wrong motive. You have the wrong motive, so it reflects through you.
Yes, because if your motive is exclusively money,
Mhm.
I would never buy a product from a person his whole motive is money.
Yeah, and then you lose the interest of listening um, and and uh, and it's all that it's all that we talked about. But speaking of money, like, I think I asked you before, when there was a lot of noise in the room, um, but is it selfish to be able to accumulate a lot
No,
of money,
no, no.
to wanna accumulate a lot of money?
I think it's just a natural effect that if you have a good product, you're gonna get wealthy. I mean, look again. You got Elon Musk. Why is he successful? Because he has a good product, and with with all the talk about the environment, he has a niche, a perfect niche. If you want to call the electric car a niche, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's people want electric
want
cars
electric
because
cars,
then
yeah.
they care about the environment.
Yeah.
So it's like again, we'll go back to the word love.
Mhm.
People love the environment, so they're saying, well, since cars pollute the air, and I like breathing clean air, let's buy electric cars. That's just that the idea behind it. So he has a perfect sales pitch. But one of the most important things that Elon Musk has done is he sold himself as a likable, genuine, truthful guy.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
People
definitely.
like him.
Yeah,
I mean, if he was a jerk and he was selling electric cars, he might be selling maybe 50% of what he's selling now. But because he's likable and he's like one of us, he's a common guy, you know what I mean?
hmm
And people feel that way. I know I feel that way about the guy. I think he's like down to earth.
okay.
So he sold himself properly.
hmm
You know what I mean?
hmm
And other people that are even billionaires, they get and they're like, you know, how the heck did this guy become a billionaire? Because he's like, it's like a negative kind of thing to the person. You know what I mean?
but 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 yeah, he's got a good product and he's able to make a lot of money from it, and so that's to you that's not selfish, um, and if he's got a good product, he must be doing something good for the society.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, look, you got Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Nobody knew who Bill Gates was. I mean, think about it. Bill Gates was around before the internet. He was selling his product before. I should say before the internet. He was in the internet business, but people didn't know who he was like they know uh, Elon Musk because he's on YouTube now, all over the place. So he was almost like an unseen character in America. His face, his personality was not in front of Microsoft, but he had a good product because it was needed at the time.
mhm,
Microsoft was needed at the time because
mhm.
we're talking about the beginning of the internet age in the 90s.
Are you saying he was just at
He
the
didn't,
right class,
he
at
didn't,
the right place at the good time?
yes, he didn't have to sell his personality.
Mhm.
Elon Musk didn't have to be on TV.
You say Bill Gates or
I
Elon
mean,
Musk? Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He didn't have to because it was a different era and there was a different need. The need was a computer software.
That's software. Yeah.
So he came up with the best one,
Yeah.
and he was able to produce it and bring it into market.
Mhm,
So there had nothing to do with Bill Gates selling himself.
mhm.
Bill Gates made it by having the right product at the right time.
Have you ever read the book? Um, it's called The Outliers.
By the way, before I forget, if Elon Musk ever gets to watch this YouTube video, I would love to be a teacher at his school.
Okay. Yeah, Elon Musk has a school,
Yeah.
and he's teaching kids how to how to problem solve any any situations like you mentioned, and that's what you're talking about. You would like to teach at his school. Um, what I was asking is, you are someone who used to hold events and speak at events, um, and you can't do that nowadays because of the current time, and and I can imagine, thousands of sales people out there saying, "Man, I remember when I used to, knock on somebody's door and someone, and the real person, opened the door for me." And what would you tell someone like that who feels down about not being able to go interact with the customers face to face?
I could totally relate that because I'm like like I told you, I'm old
Mhm,
school. I mean,
mhm.
I'm more this
Right.
than I am technology.
Yeah.
Based on the period that I was born. I was born in this period of time where it was all one on one and face to face, and
Mhm,
there was no internet.
mhm.
So the people that are, the people that are in business now, I mean, I would say just take advantage of the technology and do the best you can to this realm, because I mean that's just the wave of the future. Don't you can't resist. You should not resist change. You should embrace it, which is what I'm doing today with you.
Yeah,
It's my first time
that's
doing
right.
this.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Should
So
not resist change. Should embrace change.
should embrace it. Make
Yeah.
the best of it. Make the best.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, because of the country we live in America, is a free society and people have internet access for the most part. I think most people who are, quarantined and, you know, businesses were closed,
Mhm.
did exactly that. They were in their homes, they were on their computers, they were, still business creating businesses. On top of there was COVID, they were still had the fortitude enough and the courage enough to create business
Yeah.
in spite of what was going on.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So my business is of some of part of my business. Let's say one of my businesses, it's online, and businesses online online business has been booming over the last 2 to 3 years. um and people have become rich over the internet now. um and some of them never see the product that they're selling. They just pass it on to other people. They have something now called a drop shipping, and they have another thing called all of what we have online. And in a broader and the general more sense of term, they call it e-commerce. And
Yeah.
so if you are not online, something you're missing something.
Yes.
You know that. And it may be not necessarily good thing if you're a particular person who really radical about the internet, but it's good thing. Thank God, as they say, for the internet. Speaking
Right.
of God, what do you think about God? Like, do I waste my time if I sit down every morning pray, or is
No,
that
no,
helpful?
absolutely no. I mean, look, I put it like this: the person who says God doesn't exist, okay, is right. Okay, to him, is right. Not saying me. I'm saying the person whose perspective, who says that God doesn't exist, that's his perspective. You follow me?
Mhm.
He's free to have that perspective. The other person who says God exists is also free to have the perspective. Both of them are correct to themselves.
Mhm.
That's individualism.
Okay.
So he's free to have his perspective, right? That God doesn't exist. He's free to have his perspective that God doesn't exist. Now, check this out. If this person who says that God doesn't exist starts arguing with this guy who says God exists, how does this guy argue against something that doesn't exist?
We're like back to back. We're like night and day. There's no even.
No, but listen to the question.
Oh, okay.
If this person who says that God doesn't exist, he believes that God does not exist, right? And this person believes that God does exist. And this guy turns around and says, I'm going to argue with him about that God does not exist. How do you argue against something that you believe doesn't exist? You see what I'm saying? In other words, if it doesn't exist, how do you argue against it?
Okay. I guess so. But my question was
So in other words, instead of arguing,
if
right?
if it's a good thing or
Instead
not.
of just let this person have his perspective, which is I believe in God, and you keep yours. There's no conflict. There's only conflict if you want to make it a conflict.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I
But
mean?
even if I don't want to make it a conflict, but I still feel like we didn't answer the question. The question is, what's a good recommendation just to refresh myself when I get up in the morning? Do you like meditate, or do you like to pray, or do you just you mentioned you go face yourself in front of the sun?
For me, we go back to the word self.
Self.
To me, it goes back to feeling like this feeling in me that's been with me for many years now. That I don't feel separate in any way. I feel completely whole. To me, the word is wholeness. It's not the word is not so much God as much as it is wholeness. Because if I feel whole, then I'm one with you
Mm-hmm.
by the nature of being whole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one with you. I'm not divided from you. I'm not separate from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the extension of you, and you're the extension of me.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in this wholeness together. And we want to make this wholeness a better place for for the whole,
Mm-hmm.
which includes all of humanity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I say that my God is greater than your God, then there's no wholeness. There's division, there's fragmentation. My book is better than your book. My Messiah is greater than your Messiah. Whatever it is, we create these different conflicts. For me, it's just my spirituality is just that there's a wholeness that I'm part of. You know what I mean? That is me. There's no separation of this thing and that thing. You know what I mean? So that's how I engage in my spiritual practice. I go out into the sun, you know what I mean, which is the original place to be. We were shelterless, so to speak. The shelter was the sky, the biosphere, And so then I get outside and I get with the sun, and I engage with this spiritual existence that I'm in, and I receive information. I receive knowledge, because knowledge is written in the atoms of the air. I mean, scientists take microscopes, telescopes, microscopes, and they look at these tiny atoms, and they're still looking in deeper and deeper, and they see electrons. And what do they discover about these electrons? They discovered order.
In the electrons.
Yeah, they discovered order. They have an order to them, which means that they have intelligence. Order is a form of intelligence. Intelligence is a form of order. They're just perfect with each other. They flow with one another.
Meaning just the order.
The order, or ORDER, order.
Oh, okay.
Order.
Okay.
So it's perfect order.
Okay.
So the atoms of the air that they look through the microscope, and they see, these tiny little atoms, and they see these electrons, and they see these photons, and they see all these different tiny little particles that are tiny. What do they see? They see intelligence.
Right. Okay.
They see an order that turns into you and me.
Right.
Cells that turns into you and me. Intelligence. Every cell is intelligent. It makes up you and me. All of your cells make up you, and all of my cells make up me. But it's the same cells. It's like your biology, right? Your brain is biological, right? But it's not different from my brain. It's the same biological brain. If we cut our heads open and we looked at the brain, it would be exactly the same. There's no there's no difference to our biological brains. They're exactly the same. So we're cut from the same fabric.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard that before. But do you believe do you believe that there are many, like millions and millions of planets out there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's how big self would be according to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's us. That's us. I mean, there's a lot of scientists who've been saying this for a long time. We're basically made from stars. So our makeup came from stardust. Stars exploding, and they created carbon and hydrogen and nitrogen. And guess what? Nitrogen, carbon, that's us. The same carbon and hydrogen and nitrogen and all these different elements that are in that make up a star, it's in us. So they deduced You know what I mean? Which is not hard to figure out that if that's made of that, then we must be part of them because they came from this same. We didn't come into this, we came out of it. We didn't come into this, we came out of this. So since we came out of it, then we're it's like the universe gave birth to us.
Or we still and you give birth to us and we stay within it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot. We gotta end it here. And I'd like to do something that I've never mentioned. I've never done before. Is do a run through. We mentioned about a few names that I like. I like those names, and I look up to those names. I'd like to hear if you have anything to uh, say about them. One word or two if you want to. I'm gonna say a name, and then you say one word if you want to. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Let's start with Bill Gates. What do you think about Bill Gates? Your one word. If you have to say two words, that's fine. You don't have to say anything either. You can just skip that. We can just skip. It's just those guys are the guys that we look up to. We know what they do. If you don't say anything, fair enough. What about Martin Luther King?
Peace.
Peace. Good one. What about um let's go with Elon Musk.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's fair enough. What about Gandhi?
Passion.
Compassion. Yeah, good one. If let me ask you this, I learned so much. I'm not asking, but let me tell you this. I learned so much talking with you. That's why I wanted to do this because I knew I would get this much smarter. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
for for your time and for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us. Um, I can't say thank you enough. And tell us what will you leave us with so we can end this.
Well, I would say that whenever you look at another person, don't look at the other person as if he's separate from you. Look at that other person as if it's part of you, and that instead of turning away from them, you need to engage them in kindness and listen to them most of all, and listen to them with your heart, not just your brain. And don't listen to the person with the past. Come fresh.
I'm fresh.
Don't come with baggage. You know what I mean? Because that's where we're at today. We're literally living in a time where we're dragging the dead bodies of the past into the living present, and it's stinking up the place. The dead bodies they smell. So I would say let the dead bury the dead, and live in the moment.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
It was fun.
We're looking forward to more.